In 2018, Behringer released the Neutron, a 2 VCO semi-modular paraphonic analog synth with 56 patch points. It remains one of the most affordable entry points to the world of modular synthesis. I like this synth, I have a lot of history with it, but if someone were to ask me today if they should get a Neutron, well, there's a lot of options now, including the Proton. So that's the question for today's video. Is this just another affordable yet ultimately unremarkable synth of the past? Or is it a worthwhile multi-dimensional sound design machine? Welcome to Trial by Synth. What makes these oscillators special is they're not just these basic waveforms. They sound good, but you can move between the different waveforms. You can morph between them. And we can even patch into that. I really like moving between the triangle and the sawtooth, because it kind of goes from this softness to just giving it a little bit of buzz. Of course, we also have oscillator sync. Just hit this button. Now oscillator 2 is sync to oscillator 1. We can also modulate the pulse width. So if you go down here to attenuator 2 is actually by default patched into the pulse width modulation. So let's save our attenuator. Let's go back into shape. Let's have both those things happening at the same time. That's some drone magic right there. Paraphonic mode allows you to play each oscillator independently. It's two voices, but they share the same filter and the same envelope, so it's not a proper polyphonic situation. It's a little bit of a downgrade. That said, I think it does sound nice. The overdrive is cool. I like using it to bludgeon drum sounds. Unfortunately, even with the drive knob as 0, it still colors the signal. It's baked into the signal path. I like to have a clean signal first and then decide later if I want to add distortion. So I almost always will patch around the overdrive. Coming out of the oscillator mix, go into VCF. Out of VCF1, go into VCA in. That's that pure neutron. That's that pure uncut. The filter is a 12 decibel sloped 2-pole filter. So let me give you a taste. Put some resonance on it. Ooh. Now the resonance can get pretty sharp. And of course it also has a high pass and a band pass. We also have envelope depth, which is routed by default to envelope 2, so we don't have to patch that. So let's say we want to make like a plucky bass line, just have a short decay, short release, 0 attack, start dialing it in. Turn up that resonance. By By the way, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It actually helps a lot. All the sound examples you heard in this video are going to be available as patch diagrams that you can download from my Patreon. Thank you. These envelopes are very fast, and this is a very overused word to describe them, but they are snappy, like getting chopped in the neck by a karate person. That's why I think this is an exceptionally good synth for designing drums. So let me show you what I'm talking about. We're going to take envelope 2, put that into attenuator 1. Attenuator 1 is going to go into oscillator 2. Now we have 0 attack, a little bit of decay, a little bit of release. Let's start dialing it in. Let's put it on sine wave. Ooh! We can shorten our decay time and our release. That's too powerful. The LFO is pretty dope. Unfortunately, we only get one, but it's very fast. Just like the oscillators, you can also do variable wave shape. So if you hold down key sync, you're going to hit paraphonic just like the other one. It's going to start throbbing. Now you know that you can move a little bit between the different shapes. And just like the oscillators, we can patch into the LFO shape. Also, there's built-in attenuation. Now, I never knew that the Neutron could do this because I never updated the firmware. So make sure your Neutron is updated, because this is, I think, one of the most helpful and useful things that they added. Hold down the key sync button, and now you see all these lights are lit up on the LFO wheel. They represent the amount of attenuation. So when all lights are up, that's 100%. Navigate using the range buttons, turn it down, turn it up. Very useful for, again, freeing up your attenuators for other stuff like the sample and hold. Sample and hold essentially is like an LFO, but instead of giving you a constantly different value, instead it takes whatever shape you feed into it and it just grabs the value from it at one particular moment and it sends that forward. So it's essentially a way of injecting randomness and uncertainty into your patch. So let's come out of sample and hold into attenuator 1. Attenuator 1 is going to go into the shape of oscillator 2. So check out over here. As I turn it up, you can see it's now jumping around, and it's jumping around according to this rate knob. So I can turn that faster. Now it's moving all around. And you can also hear that it's jumping very sharp jumps. That's what this glide button can smooth over. So watch as I turn the glide button. Let's also lower the rate a little bit. So now instead of these abrupt jumps, it's just kind of gliding between these different values. We can also take our MIDI gate output and put that into the clock rate of the sample and hold. So now anytime we hit a note, it's going to grab a different value. It's not going to be just jumping all over outside of the rhythm that we create. I have a very love-hate relationship with this delay. On the one hand, it has a very warm, beautiful tone. I'm either using it a lot or not at all. As soon as you dial even a little bit in, it's gonna immediately wash out the sound and kind of smudge it, which can be really nice in the right context with like an ethereal lead. When I started this video, I assumed my takeaway was going to be something along the lines of, it's a pretty decent sounding synth, but the patch bay allows you to bring out the real, interesting, weird sounds. But the patches I ended up liking the most were the simplest ones. It turns out you don't have to try very hard to make the Neutron sound good. Now, it does need to be said, If you buy a Neutron to get a taste of that modular magic and it does its job of drawing you into that world, then it's probably most likely gonna be a situation where you outgrow it in a couple months. That is the nature of modular, but let's imagine there is no patch bay. What do you have left over? You have the filter, you have the oscillators, the envelopes. To me, those sound great, and in the right context, they sound amazing. My verdict in this trial by Synth is worth it. Want to know the difference between the Proton and the Neutron? Check out my in-depth Proton review video where I cover this topic. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. This is Slumpfish. Have a good one.